Here is our sort of login page for the Carbon Co-op sort of Flex dashboard. To access this yourself, you sort of want to go to app.powershaper.io. I'm actually on our like testing sort of staging environment, so it's the URL is a bit different. A couple of things might look different, but in general, this will be sort of what you see when you go to log in. And obviously, if you've forgotten your password for whatever reason, you should be able to just sort of reset that here with your sort of email address you originally used to sign up. But everyone who's sort of participating in this project will have a login that they can use here, and we'll just click on through, and everything's loading. And so yeah, here we have what you might see when you log in. It's your smart meter, which hopefully you've all connected to the system, and hopefully it's working. I mean, not always something within our control, but we've been getting a lot more sort of back online recently and having a bit more success with that. If you do have a smart meter and you haven't yet like tried to sort of connect it to our system, I can sort of send some information around about that. So do let me know, and I can sort of point you in the right direction there, and we can see if we can get that working. But here obviously you can see your electricity usage, your gas usage if you have a smart gas meter as well, and sort of a lot of other information you can also download and to access it. And the importance of this for our Flex trial is that this is what's used to sort of generate both the baseline and to measure the flexibility generated from the event. So we use this half-hourly information coming from your smart meter to sort of see how much flexibility one way or the other that we've generated on an event. So you, as a Flex user, should have a button up at the top here that says Flex, and if you click through to that, your page should look something like this. And we've got a sort of fake event on here at the moment, just to see what it looks like. So this is one next week, and we don't have one scheduled for this time next week at the moment, but you can see sort of upcoming events as well as your past events, and I'll click over to the past events here, and you can see that this is an event that also was not real that I participated in today, and at the moment there isn't any more sort of information on there about this event because it happened today. The smart meter data normally comes through about sort of 4 in the morning the sort of following day for the previous day, so we won't have any metric data sort of about how the event today performed until tomorrow. So do sort of make sure to check in on your Flex dashboard tomorrow to have a look how it went today, and that's something that I definitely recommend having a look at. And we'll also be sharing information around about this in the newsletter in an aggregated sense as well. So when it comes to the HEMS, this is something that's new, and some of people who have already perhaps been using the HEMS might not have been familiar with or been using. So we are still sort of testing this, so do let us know if you find it confusing or run into any sort of issues on it. But at the top here now, there should be a HEMS button, and it's also down here. And if you click on this, we now have it so that most people's home energy management systems, if they're sort of working correctly, and it is definitely possible they might not be at this stage, are accessible remotely, and you can log into them just by sort of following this link, which I'll do in a minute. And you can also copy and paste that link and bookmark it and save whatever. And this link should work anywhere. So sort of previously you had to be connected to the HEMS Wi-Fi network, and that method still works for a purely local connection, but this allows you to sort of access it on any computer on your standard home network or outside of your home. And we have some instructions here for how to set up this as an app on your phone, whether that's an Android or an iOS phone. So we've also tried to make this as straightforward as possible to use on your mobile, so you can get the quite complicated link copy and pasted on your mobile device rather than having to sort of type it out manually, which can be a bit tricky. So I'm just going to click through here now. So this is just one I've set up today in the office, and this is the sort of thing that you should see when you click that link. Yeah, do get in touch if there's any problems. And the username and password, these should be standard for all of your devices. You can add extra users yourself. So if you would prefer to have a more sort of memorable one, feel free to add them. But this is printed on a little sticker on the underside of the device, and the username should be something like coffee box, and then a few sort of random letters that are from the unique identifying number for the device. So in this case, you can see here it's actually always the same. This is the same long number, and it's these 4 digits that you use to log in, but it's also printed on your box. And for some of the people who are in the previous trial, they will have stickers that say ccoop-hems rather than coffee box dash this number, and that should also work. But the new login should also work for your device. So again, there could be some confusion or overlap here. Do get in touch if you're having any problems logging in with these credentials. It should be quite straightforward, but it isn't always, I'm aware. There's also the 2 words, which is like quite a funny name of the device, and that is the password for the device. So this one's called fancy antelope, and some of them are quite bizarre, but they're randomly generated, and that should just be the password for your device. So we log in now. You should see something like this, and this is what's called sort of the dashboard, and you can sort of edit this yourself and add sort of different things that you have connected onto it. So this is the default dashboard, but you can create your own dashboards, and we'll go into all of this in sort of more detail in different sort of presentations. So this is just a very introductory guide to having a look at this here, and you should be able to see like any connected devices. There's all kinds of information on here, like we aren't going to go into a lot of depth to it today, but I think the important thing now is that people will be able to come away from this call and know that this exists, and this is somewhere they can look at. The sort of other things up here to bear in mind is I know Peter talked about sort of integrating these modules into the thing, and one thing that you can do with your Home Assistant, and I know this doesn't go all the way to helping with Peter's issue, but is if you have other smart sort of devices in your home, quite often you're able to integrate these by adding custom integration. So there's add integration here, and you can sort of search for the manufacturer of your device, and if it's on your home network, it's often quite possible to integrate. This is something we'll go into again in more depth in a different webinar, but you know, I fully expect people will be able to go away sort of from this, and you'll probably be ahead of us in terms of the series of webinars. I know lots of you have already looked at this in some detail or are somewhat familiar. The other sort of thing I'll quickly show you that is something that we'll also look at in depth, and we've done previous webinars on this that are on the YouTube, but is the automation area. So this is what we ultimately use to control the devices. So there's a number of stock or sort of standard automations that we run that basically go, when is a DSR event happening? What do I do? Which is normally turn off or turn on a device. But you're also welcome to create your own automations using the connected devices. That could be, for example, setting a timer to run yours on your time of use tariff that you've raised, or maybe you want it just to run at sort of a specific time of the day for whatever reason, and you can create your own automations. There's a sort of endless levels of sort of complexity here, but also it's you know, relatively visual, and it explains a lot about it, which sort of will bring me sort of onto like how do you find out sort of more information about this. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and if Alex could just open up the slide that I've got. So there's a few really good places basically to look at for information around this. So we have obviously our community forum, the community.carbon.coop, and obviously this has a lot of people from Carbon Co who are part of this project on it and who are doing some quite advanced things with their HEMS, and to other devices, and it's definitely worth sharing your questions and sort of things there. Also, Home Assistant itself, which is the largest community-led open source project in the world, has hundreds of thousands of users who are doing all kinds of things, and this is what the HEMS is based on. So a lot of that will apply to you as well. And I'd recommend, if you have a question that you don't sort of get an answer to, you can engage with that community. And there's a lot of people who are doing very complex things, but also willing to sort of help people out in the community on this. And similarly, the sort of final place we'd recommend, and we'll include all of these links in our next newsletter as well, but is the Home Assistant documentation page. And that's really their sort of source, their instructions, or their sort of user manual. And since this is something that is so big and sort of widespread, there's a lot of stuff there, more stuff than you could probably have time to read, but you can sort of search through it and find the relevant things, and hopefully you can find something that helps answer the question that you're looking for there. So I'm aware this was a very sort of speedy sort of shallow sort of overview of this, but this is just the beginning of what we want to sort of show you and support you in doing with this. So we'll definitely be able to look at it in more detail. And if you have something specific in mind, I mean, I know we've spoken with Peter and a few other people before about helping make a start on your sort of system. If you have something in mind that you're not sure how to do send us an email, get in touch, and we can sort of we're not able to sort of spend vast amounts of time on individuals' automations, but we are definitely happy to sort of hear from you, and we'll try and sort of support you where we can in that. The thing to bear in mind is this can be often quite sort of overwhelming when you first see it. There's a lot of things there, but it's also by far the sort of simplest way to do what are ultimately quite complicated things with your home. So it's really a really good resource, and it's always getting like better and easier to use. It's sort of, as this really big open source project, there has a lot of involvement in it, and obviously if you have any software development sort of background or information, as I know some of our participants do, then we'd encourage you to personally get involved in that community, and you can help sort of make the changes that you want to see in this as well. So it's something that's constantly living and growing. So yeah, I hope that was useful to sort of see the resources that we have and the dashboards that are available and how you can get through to them. But that's that.